Hi, I'm Paul Berry, founder and CEO of Rebel Mouse, and you're watching Behind the Brand.
Hi, I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with founder and CEO of Rebel Mouse, Paul Berry. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So we're talking about life lessons. What are some of the mistakes that you've made? And I only mention that because I think, this F word, failure, or maybe fear, gets a lot of people stuck. And there's a stigma attached to failure. People tend to think, in terms of permanency, right? Like both ways. So if I fail once, okay, I'm always going to fail. Or if I succeed once, I'm always going to succeed. It's not the case. So talk about some of the, these lessons learned that you've had this experience, and what did you learn from it, and how do you think other people can?
Yeah. So I love how you make that point about failure. Usually the worst thing, and I think every other founder would admit, is a group of founders together. It's like, oh God, that is just like, I'm never good at the drinks thing, but that will send me home faster than anything. Because in general, it's all chest thumping and everything is great and everything is wonderful.
And then you go home and write a Medium post about it.
The opposite of that, which I really enjoy, is a one-on-one with a friend who's a founder, which is honest. And then there's no chest thumping. It's usually all exchanging notes of how fucking hard and horrible things are. And it's like, oh, and we struggle with this and that. Yes. So I think that that it is so important to be vulnerable, to be honest and transparent. There is this balance where you're building momentum, and a horrible way to build momentum, like you just scored 2 goals and everyone's you go with that. So you don't just like buzzkill everyone with negative shit. So it's a balance.
But to build on that soccer analogy, like a team is the most vulnerable right after they scored, right? Yeah. In any game, like within the first 5 or 10 minutes, it could be a counter strike. Yeah. And so you got to be kind of careful about that.
I'll tell you one of the things that I found most surprising that I failed at, because there's the fails that you're like, well, we're going to try this thing and it might work or it might not work. Those are a little easier because you're doing something knowing that it has its conscious attempt. I'm going to take this penalty shot, and penalty shots, I got a 90% chance. So it's a bummer if you miss. But there's another type of failure, which is that you didn't expect to be able to fail that way. Like it wasn't even on your radar.
Yeah. Or sometimes the rug gets pulled out from under you.
Oh, right? Yeah, that too.
There's sabotage, there's unexpected circumstances.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that can be so annoying. But I'll tell you, but that's less like, oh, you could, then you hindsight could control it, but culture within your company. I made some mistakes and I had to learn the hard way. A founder will believe the culture of the company is what's in their head about it. And there becomes a rift between the reality of what other people are experiencing and the way you describe your culture.
Right, because meanings are not in words themselves, they're in people, how they interpret them.
Yeah. So I have this thing which actually puts me at a disadvantage as a CEO, and I have to check it, which is that I tend to like people. And I tend to believe in them. And, I have 4 sisters, a big family. Like, I tend to understand people's weaknesses and not be blind to them, but work through them anyway. And all these things sound really positive. But what it means is that I've put leaders in the company before that are not operating the way that I would. And I would do tons of damage control. Like, look, I know, she's kind of a sociopath, I know, but she gets shit done. So just deal with it. So I ended up doing a lot of damage control. And what happens what you should realize, I think, is that in employees and startups, probably everywhere, but startup focused, there's some buckets that you fall into. and they fall into axes of drama and output. The easiest people to get rid of quickly are high drama and no output. Those people in most startups, they last a few months or a few weeks, and then everyone's like, oh my God, what a disaster, and thank God it's over. The people who win really big in startups, and if you're working in a startup, this is what you've got to aim to do, is be low drama and high output. And the group of us at HuffPost, like, there were so many dysfunctional things at HuffPost. It's just inside stories that nobody will write until they're dead. And that's true in almost any company. If you become the person who's just like all obsessed with that drama and creates it and spreads it and all of that, then you fall into the bucket of high drama. And the hardest employees on startups are high drama and high output.
Because you need them.
You don't need them, but you're tempted to think you do. And that at HuffPost we let go longer than we should have with some people, and that I let go at Rebel Mouse longer than you should have. Because it's hard because they're giving all this output. But when you study and understand super high performing teams, a person who's high drama and output, it ruins your chance of being a high performing team. So there's, God, so many mistakes. So another one that's really interesting that we've spent a lot of time battling is that by personality, I hate secrecy. I hate stealth. When I was working on Rebel Mouse, before I was ready to say what it was, I couldn't wait to get over that period. So the moment that I had something that people were like, oh my God, can I share that? We launched.